So just put that on a back burner for a moment now. The Buddha teaches that you should bless your enemy, for he allows you to grow. Take a deep breath. Really bless my enemy, for he allows me to grow. Now, that wasn't a mistake that he said that, because 500 years later, Jesus comes along and says, do good to them that hate you. Really? Do good to them that hate you. Wow. I heard the Dalai Lama speak some time back, and he said that his daily spiritual practice was that he would get up in the morning and he would meditate for 4 hours. 4 hours he meditated, and then the rest of his day was dedicated to doing the work that might lead to freeing Tibet from the Chinese occupation. Now, he said he had to meditate for 4 hours because the temptation to not love the Chinese was so great that unless he meditated that much, he could very easily cross that line and start to act lovelessly toward the Chinese. But he knew the only way Tibet could be free was if he continued to do what he did, all the while loving the Chinese. See, so he was blessing his enemy because his enemy was making his heart grow bigger to include them. Emma, one of our teachers here in our church, says that when we love our enemies, that what happens is that our mind will awaken to knowledge that we have no imagination of currently. You know, that the space that gets created by loving our enemies rather than hating them creates this vast opening so that this wisdom and light and love that's everywhere in the universe can now be expressed and experienced in us. So Joseph is this favorite son, and his brothers dispose of him. Now, again, Joseph has these great gifts. He interprets dreams. So he's really good in the realm of the imagination. Lots of us are good in the realm of the imagination. It's just on earth we have trouble. But in the imagination, we're really great. So Joseph, because he's good with interpreting dreams, rises and becomes the dream interpreter for the Pharaoh. The head of the Pharaoh is the king of Egypt. He's so good, in fact, that he becomes the Pharaoh's #1 man. Because, you know, if you're the Pharaoh, you have other things to do. You don't want to be dealing with all the petty day-to-day stuff of running an entire kingdom. You want somebody to do that for you. So you can spend your days doing the King Tut and things like that, right? You've got other things to do. So Joseph is now his #1 man. And one of the things that Joseph did is that Joseph interpreted these dreams where there were going to be 7 years of plenty and then 7 years of famine. And this is, in fact, what came to pass. There were 7 years of plenty, and the Egyptians stored up their grain for the times ahead. And then when things were bad, who should show up at Joseph's door but his brothers, looking for food? Now, they don't know that Joseph is their brother. They think he's just somebody who works for the Pharaoh. Oh, bless your enemy, for he allows you to grow. You know, I think every person here, probably everybody we know, has had an experience in their life where somebody meant something for our harm and it turned out to be for our good. You know, when that relationship ended and we just knew this was the worst day of our life, and 18 months down the road we said, I don't know what I was so worked up about. That was the best thing to ever happen to me. You know, or a job came to an end and we thought, oh my God, I'm going to die without this job. What will I do without this job? And then we got a better job that paid us more, where we actually liked showing up. We said, oh my God, losing that job was the best thing to ever happen to me. So, you know, so there is a principle that can only operate if our mind is in the right place. And that right place is, they can mean it for my harm, but God intends it for my good. Somehow good will come from this, but I need to be open to good coming from this. I cannot stay so attached to what looks like the tragedy or the earthly form or what has been. I have to be open to God intends this for my good.